Hi there. My name is Christina Holly, and I'm here today to help you with some self care tips. So, a little bit about me. I have recently left corporate. I was in HR for 25 years, and now I have my own coaching company with life coaching, business coaching, and I help leaders and individuals align into their true potential. I also wrote a book that really shifted and changed my life completely. And that's what really put me on this path of helping people really see their full potential. But today, what I really want to talk about is the idea of energy. So, energy is an interesting one because when we say energy, we automatically go to this place like, oh, that must be woo woo or too spiritual or that doesn't impact me. Well, I'll tell you, it definitely impacts you. Your energy is the most valuable commodity you have. When I say your energy, I am talking about the essence of who you are. It's what allows you to have spark and joy and energy to play with your kids at the end of the night or even go and, hang out with your friends. It's like, how are you managing your energy throughout the day? It is very important to understand this. Sometimes we sit there and we pretend that, oh, that doesn't really apply to me. Well, this applies to everybody because we all have energy. You either feel like you have a lot of it or you feel depleted at the end of the day. And I'm going to give you some tips to avoid that. And the reason why this goes under the umbrella of self care, it's about this is your number one thing to make sure that you're monitoring and making sure that people aren't taking this away, that you're actually putting yourself in positions where you're being multiplied and you have more energy when you leave them, not less. So, 8 people that you should probably avoid, and hopefully you're not one of these people, but if you are, then it's something to take into consideration. Maybe it's something that you can pivot around and start to realize you're only hurting yourself. One, like attracts like, so you could be attracting people within that kind of lower vibrational, that negative space. And two, you could be exhausted and on the verge of burnout and just not allowing yourself the chance to boost and get yourself where we need you to be. So these are 8 people or toxic people. I know we overplay that, but it's very important to be aware or catch yourself when you're doing it that you want to be around. So, or you don't want to be around, apologize. So, those who spread negativity, those who talk to you and want to talk the negative talk, they just love it, right? They never can be happy. They always have to kind of bring it down a peg and just start pulling it in and everything is like a Debbie Downer situation. But when we think about that, you can either get hooked into that conversation or you can learn to pivot and get out of it. My big comment here is get out of that situation as much as possible because nothing good comes out of being in that negative whirlwind. It's kind of like a cloud, a dark cloud that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But if you can get yourself out of it, or at least you know how to set some boundaries, then you're going to be okay. The next one is the person who criticizes. I call them the criticizer all the time. They always have something to say. You could be so happy, you've done these great things, and they're like, well, that's not really perfect, is it? No, you didn't do that. You forgot to dot the I, you forgot to do this. These are like, this is not who you need around you when we're trying to maintain your energy and really keep you in a high vibrational space. So, really good things can start coming in. So, you know, be mindful of them. They kind of, they're like my pet peeve, to be honest, because I feel like they always have something to say, but yet they never really do very much themselves. The other one would be the person who wastes your time. Well, when we're not valuing our energy, right, we're really not valuing ourselves. And the output that we're putting towards other people, we can really be self-sabotaging if we're not aware that this person is just wasting my time. They're not serving any sort of purpose and they're just here like not leaving. They're they're not leaving and they're a real drag to be around, to be honest. So be aware of that one. And then the fourth one, ooh, This is a good one. Those that are jealous. Now, as you become more in tune to yourself, you'll start to see, you're like, oh God, this person, like those comments are kind of nasty. And they're not coming from a nice place. They're coming because they're jealous, green with envy. They're sitting there and they're trying to put you in your place or like belittle your whatever your gain is. Those you don't want to hang with those people, right? They're not your people. So if that's the case, then identify it and then pivot. Now, if you're a person that's jealous of other people, my advice would be that we shouldn't be even looking at other people. You don't need to compete. Be on your own journey and really do some great things. When we stop looking over at everybody else, then we can really focus in on our stuff and really start building some great things. Okay, the fifth one, the person who plays the victim. So you probably see this person around all the time, right? Like we have them all over the place. Sometimes they're in family and sometimes they're friends, sometimes they're at work. But the victim is an interesting one because no matter what, it's always horrible. It's never gonna get better. It's always a little harder for them than anybody else, and they kinda like getting stuck in it. They fall into the martyr a little bit. Well, I want you to be aware, you don't need that around you. You want people that are solution-based, and yes, life happens, challenges happen. Don't ever think that I'm downplaying that because 'cause I've lived a life, trust me, but, like, it's what do you do with it? Do you sit in it forever or are you going to actually start to pivot and move? So I say this because these people will drain your energy. It doesn't matter how much you put out to them, they will still drain it. They'll always kind of come back for more because they can't get themselves out of it. But sometimes there's different solutions to do that. Just be mindful that you're not getting caught up in their space. Also, the sixth one is the people that don't care, right? So if they don't care, they're pretty apathetic. It's like, what fun is that, right? If you're around someone who is not invested in joyful or excited or anything that you're doing, that's not good space to be, right? Because they're not adding value to their life. They're actually starting to detract it. It's like they would be totally content if you were totally the same forever and ever and ever and ever. And that could be okay, but if they don't care about you and you're pouring into them because you care about them, then that's something that's not balanced. And that's something that doesn't have boundaries around it. So, again, that goes back to your energy, that goes back to self worth, that goes back to self care practices. So, I just want to make sure that we bring that one into play. Ooh, number 7, I would argue this could be a narcissist, but those that are completely self centered and totally focused in on them. So they don't take the time to look at other people in their circle, other people in the community. It's only about me, 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 me. And when that happens, usually you can't fill that bucket for them because they are looking to other people to try and fill that bucket for them. So be mindful that that individual can actually be depleting you. So, you want to look for people that care, like we said, care about you or even like are trying to add value to the community, add value to your relationship, add value to like others. It's not only about them. And then the last one I have for you is the people that keep disappointing you. And let me tell you, I was a sucker for this one. So the people that keep disappointing you are the ones that make false promises, that say that they're going to be there. They're never there. They always kind of fall short. They always have an excuse. There's always something. So when that happens, eventually you got to be like, what is my time and energy worth? And this is why we're having this conversation because it's worth a lot when you start to understand the value of how you show up and what you're pouring into other people. And if you could be getting yourself to a point where you're pouring into someone else's cup and you got nothing left because you've been depleted by all these people that have been around you. So I wanted to share that today as, a quick tip, something to think about. I kind of love it because when you start to understand the power of energy and why you want to keep it as much as possible, right? There's other conversations. I'm writing my second book now, and I talk about like the energy scale and how we really want to keep ourselves in the highest vibrational space, because when we do, magic happens. That's where you land and you can be creative, you're joyful. It's almost like you're like a little kid again, right? You're in that creative mode. It's fun. So I want to share that with you today. And if this resonates, I'm going to start sharing more of my tips and tricks about you really showing up as your best self, having more self love, um, in a much deeper way. And when you start doing this, I promise you, you will drop the people that are not good for you and you will start attracting in better people in your life. And I really think that there's so much value in that when you understand. So much so that I'm here now telling you guys about it because I am coming from a place where it's just like everybody should know this. Now, what people do with this information, that's really up to them. But this is a formula. If you're starting to gauge from an energetics perspective and how you want to show up in your life and the things you want to do, it's possible. It's very, very possible, but we have to make some choices in order to get there. So if that resonates with you, please give me a follow, subscribe, know that there'll be more information coming. um yeah, I really hope to connect, and I'm happy to be able to share these tips and tricks because I know that they actually do help. Okay, we'll talk to you later and we'll chat soon. Bye.